Sly Cooper is an amazing series that has been stealing the hearts of players since the early days of the PlayStation 2. With the re-releases of this game making its way to the PlayStation Plus catalog, I'd figured now is as good a time as ever to platinum the first entry to this franchise. Our journey begins in the city of Paris, where we meet our protagonist, Sly Cooper, along with his friends, Bentley and Murray. We'll quickly go through this game's tutorial, which sees us sneaking through a police headquarters. We're here to crack this safe to get an important dossier. This gets the attention of Carmelita Fox, a detective who's bent on stopping the Cooper gang and also might have a thing or two for Sly herself. After escaping this pursuit by the skin of our furry nuts, we're introduced to the Cooper gang and get more insight into Sly's upbringing.
Finally, the secret police file I've been searching for all these years. With this, I could avenge my family and regain possession of our most valued treasure.
Pretty much everything from his lineage is documented in a valuable book that goes by the name the Thievius Raccoonus. Inside it are some ancestral superpowers. I need you to understand that this book is very important. In fact, it's so important that the night Sly was supposed to inherit it, a not so good group of guys, they go by the name Fiendish 5. Oh, that's very villainy by the way. They showed up to take the book and ended up murdering Sly's parents. Oh, you thought this game had a happy opening? Shame on you. Sly's an orphan, and his best friends are a neurotic turtle and a buffoon hippo. I'm kinda surprised he didn't grow up to become a serial killer or something. Fast forward, our squad has grown up and is tracking down each member of the Fiendish 5 to get their respective copy of the Thievius Raccoonus. Alright, time out. I have a quick question. Do they not have photocopiers in this universe? If it was me, I would just take the book to my local Office Max and print copies for everyone. Cool, we all have the same abilities. No one is lacking. They decided to split the book up into 5 pieces and go back to their own corners of the world. If everyone had a version of the whole book, they would be a force to be reckoned with. Their mistake was counting our boys out, because now it's time for us to get revenge and get back what's rightfully ours. Or die a horrible death because we bit off more than we can chew.
Sly! Come in! Sly! Do you read me?
Yeah, I read you. Loud and very loud.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
The first episode of my adventure takes place in the United Kingdom. The guy we're looking to stomp out is Sir Raleigh the Frog. He's a pampered amphibian who became bored with the privileged life afforded to him. He ended up turning to a life of crime and fell in love with it. His tech savviness would get him in with the Fiendish 5 crew. His daily routine includes assembling machines on this gigantic pirate ship as a mad genius of some sort. I like to think we all have that one uncle who gets a little too drunk at family gatherings. He looks at you like this while sliding you a $20 bill and tells you something like, "Hey, keep up the good grades, nephew." Everyone's favorite Funkle hails out of the Welsh Triangle, an area located near the country of Wales. Boy oh boy, is he really tucked away in the depressing part of this region. Not one peak of sunlight is to be found anywhere, just gloomy weather and homicide. Every episode you play has an intro level that you play through before you get to its respective hub. This is good for setting up your expectations for what you're going to be facing at certain points of your journey. Since this game takes place in parts all across the world, it gives the player a nice, tailored experience as you're playing. This extends to every aspect of the presentation. The game soundtrack usually tends to be very laid back and jazzy, with sprinkles of blues throughout. Songs that either have keys or mallets are guaranteed to be a bop. This style usually matches whatever geographical location you might find yourself in, extending from the time you spend in Wales all the way through to the game's end in Russia. The art direction and sound design follow suit as well. I always thought the Sly Cooper game struck that perfect combination between a comic book series and a Saturday morning cartoon, without leaning too much into one side. The choice to go with cell shading really helps a lot. It just has these small ways of charming you that really add up. For example, look at how items are so animated with their little jigs, or how all the enemies you face tend to resemble humans. It's just enough to suspend any disbelief you might have while playing without being super over the top. I would quickly get my first trophy for collecting the first 5 clue bottles I came across. As a collectible, clue bottles are one of those things that are not required but can really enhance the experience, as they give Bentley information to help you crack those pesky safe codes. The reward is usually an ability. but it can sometimes be an upgrade or quality of life enhancement. Some of these levels have specific challenges for you to accomplish to unlock trophies. I ended up coming back to most of these when I had unlocked most of the abilities, all in an attempt to make these somewhat easier for me. The level specific trophy that would come first is A Thief Heeds No Warning. Taking place on the stage A Stealthy Approach, all I needed to do was destroy any 4 signs I saw placed on the level. After this episode intro, we can explore Raleigh's gigantic ship hideout. When I say that, I mean every part. Both engine and power rooms that are filled with his underpaid goons and crazy work conditions. Hot coals and active lava? Yeah, I'm pretty sure these fans with the electric currents running through them are perfectly safe to have near some water. There's such an eerie nature to these locations. Wrecked ships that are on fire, underwater, killer googly-eyed crabs wanting to take your booty. And your booty, and just a general lack of natural light really makes some of these places feel so dirty and lonely. These places are 100% cursed. I mean, look, wait, I feel like I've seen this guy before.
I said that the Denver Nuggets jeans. Is you fucking serious?
Lastly, there's Raleigh's fancy and beautiful library. This place is a living false positive. The most chaos I'm gonna experience in this episode will come from here. You'll see when we cover that level shortly. The third trophy of this video, Nimble Solutions, will come from the fire down below. While navigating this map, I'll need to progress through this middle room by not using any of the provided hooks. Normally, this would be the viable option, but for this go around, I'll just mount this generator and finesse my way to the next section of this level. And that's how nimble problems become. My next level based trophy would be charming the library on a cunning disguise. Now the whole gimmick of this place is that you have these darts that blast you for walking on this carpet. The way to circumnavigate this is by hopping into this barrel and using it as cover. There's just something about stealth game characters using inanimate objects to disguise themselves from danger. Sly Cooper uses barrels, Solid Snake uses cardboard boxes, and Agent 47 uses the warm clothes of somebody he just murdered. To get the trophy, I had to go through this entire map without ever having to use the barrel of safety. Now as far as I know, it isn't even possible to get past the first set of darts without a barrel. So how did I do it? Maybe I unlocked a new move to distract the machines, or I got a move to increase my agility to help me across. No, it's none of those. As far as I know, the only way to do it legitimately is to have a hit point you can spare. Lucky charms or horseshoes, whatever you want to call them, act as an extra hit point. You can stack up to 2 of them. Just to begin this trophy challenge, I'm required to spare a charm in the very beginning. To make things even worse, you have to get hit a second time. Luckily, you can find a spare horseshoe in a nearby area before you head to the finish. Whatever, give me my trophy. Moving on, the next trophy I would end up unlocking would be Through the Fire and the Planks on Gunboat Graveyard. I got super lucky with this one, let me tell you. I had to climb to the top of this crow's nest, jump over the debris, and land on these floating platforms. Yeah, Sly's verticality while jumping it's kind of but it's a little weird to explain. The best way I could describe it is that he has a double jump, but his second jump doesn't give him more verticality. It just slightly extends his airtime. There were plenty of moments when I fell short of the platform I was trying to reach, but on one attempt, the Cooper ancestors shined a lucky light on me and somehow let me use this piece of shipwood to hardcore parkour and get my trophy. Okay, all the keys have been collected and every safe has been unlocked in this episode. This got me their respective episode trophies, plundered treasures, and stopping the storm. It's time to crash Raleigh's party. Little does he know, me and Sly are like Beavis and Butthead when it comes to frogs we don't like. Now Raleigh is a whole mood. Check this out.
How delightful! We have a guest. The only thing is, I hate unexpected guests!
I can't entirely blame him. I feel like that applies not only to me, but also the majority of you watching. Now what follows is a really easy boss fight. It's mostly just you jumping and dodging his attacks until he becomes vulnerable. What I thought were initially flies are actually bees. This frog is freaking insane. The icing on the cake for all of this is that he legitimately looks like this when he's vulnerable. I don't know if that's intentional or a coincidence. Either way, I love it. Beating him unlocked the Croaking Crook trophy for me and pretty much wraps up the story in this chapter. Before he lost consciousness, he informed us about the next person we're going to be pursuing. And then what happened next is what I believe to be the budget being cut out from this scene. Look at how he signs off.
You will see. Mesa City is so well guarded, a snake couldn't slither in without setting off alarms.
It looks like he's a part of an elementary school play production and almost missed his cue. This right here is the definition of comedy gold to me. The Thievius Raccoonus page we recovered from Raleigh discusses Sly's Japanese ancestor, Ryoichi Cooper. We study the time he spent living in feudal Japan back in the day, more specifically how he mastered the art of platforming on precise points and keeping his balance. Carmelita just misses Sly but manages to bust Raleigh, which is enough for now, I guess. After spending some downtime in England, our boys started preparing for the next villain from the Fiendish 5 to focus on. Next up is the land of the free and the home of the brave, the United States of America. We're gonna go toe to toe with Mugshot, easily one of the more daunting guys in this organization. He's as alpha as they come. It wasn't always like this, but man, let me tell you, the street life is crazy. Between crime movies and lifting doggy weights, holy smokes, this guy's lifting cinder blocks. Yeah, he's pretty badass. We might have our work cut out for us. Nah, I refuse to be intimidated by someone who dresses like Steve and Doug from A Night at the Roxbury. The place where we're visiting our four-legged friend's compound is referred to as Mesa City in the state of Utah. Playing here made me realize that everywhere you see in this game will range from dusk to the dead of the night. This is the brightest thing you'll get from nature itself. There's something about how the light affects the color of the red rocks. It gives off this relaxing purple hue. I just know it's cold as a motherfucker out here though. Mugshot's levels are all centered around his hideout. Everything is just broken down and dilapidated. I like the fact that they're all just dogs dressed as humans, with the exception of the actual dogs being restrained and used to bite you. I guess these are considered feral to them. A nice detail about these environments are their urban-esque elements. You really feel like these pups live in a rough part of town. Like, who is really out here doing graffiti with their paws? I don't even want to know what goes on at the Bone House. Some areas we'll visit in Mugshot's compounds will have us trying our luck in his casino, looking for trouble in really sketchy parts of town, and meeting up with the old friend. Murray has a bigger presence in these levels as well. He forces us into a race all because he wants a glizzy. It's a good thing there's a key as a reward for slugging through this. I can't lie, if there's one thing I probably dislike about this game, it would definitely be the races. Everything just feels so artificial and drawn out. The worst part is the key is just sitting out in the open for grabs anyway. I don't know, Sly, why don't you just steal it while this is going on, you know, like with every single other thing you do in this game? Now, if that's not enough, we actually have to escort Murray to get another key on a different mission. And yeah, it would be nice if he could throw a punch or two. I guess he hasn't been convinced that giving up the butt to your enemy is old-fashioned and only works in prison nowadays as a surrender technique. It's crazy because all Murray needs to realize is he's that guy. He could be snapping everyone and everything in half. The trophy sleight of hand comes from within the level Boneyard Casino. Here you'll find all the things to satiate your gambling needs. Slots, blackjack tables, and even roulette setups. Dude, dog liquor sounds amazing. How old do you have to be to drink it? One of the enemies you see patrolling here are these decked out Dobermans who mean business, with them being classified as a flashlight guard. They can end your life in an instant if they spot you. So you typically have these two types of enemies in pretty much every Sly Cooper game. Ones with flashlights and the ones without it. And I'm pretty sure the ones with flashlights have to be convicted felons or something, because when they see you, they have no mercy and will straight up murder you without second thought. So it's best to stay out of their beams just for my safety. I carefully dispatched at least 4 of them without getting spotted to earn the applicable trophy for this level. Next up for us is getting the perfect date trophy and 2 to tango. The fierce Carmelita Fox makes an appearance again. This time, she wants to fry my behind and is going the extra mile to make this happen. What follows is a mad pursuit across various rooftops and even scaffolding for unfinished structures. I have to run through the level a few times to get the route down for the trophy I'd have to earn.
I'm gonna hunt you down, Cooper. You can't run forever.
The perfect date was awarded to me for getting through this level without falling or taking 0 damage. What a Pain takes place in a personal favorite of mine, Back Alley Heist. I absolutely adore its claustrophobic and unwelcoming nature. This place actually has a sort of giant loop structure, where you essentially go in a large circle from start to finish, but end up at a different elevation. The perspective you play during this level is more structured like that of a 2.5D platformer, which is a good change of pace from what we've been experiencing so far. I got the What a Pain trophy for smashing 7 different panes of glass as I ventured through this area. Look out below and no more beaches for Sly come from straight to the top. This rooftop level is pretty dense. It's really cool how it adds to the scaling of this hub world that you're in. This level is you getting the chance to explore the rooftop that has the Mugshot neon sign. It's good to know the local community has a healthy stock of stacked tires and clue bottles to drink when they get hungry and thirsty. Look at this guy, he's just a presumed escaped prisoner wanting to add us to his body count. Is that a teardrop on his face? So lookout below is related to me performing a certain action. Mugshot has cars suspended up in the air throughout your journey here. We have to be vandals and possibly commit homicide by knocking them loose, dropping them down to whatever or whoever may be on the ground. I'll do this 5 times to get awarded the trophy. The other trophy comes from me gathering all the available clue bottles and getting access to the nearby safe. This pop no more beaches for Sly. The reward I get from this is really nice, as now I won't lose any charms if I accidentally fall into the water. This has to be the origin of where raccoons became strong swimmers. It took their ancestor Sly to get this ability. Yes, it's all canon, trust me. Finishing the other levels and unlocking their respective safes got me bringing down a house and Sly's hot streak. It's time to take on Mugshot, who is not impressed with us in the slightest. He's actually disappointed that someone who bears our appearance can even cause this much disruption in the first place.
Wait a second. I seen that stick before.
Maybe when my father knocked your block off with it.
Your father? Wow! You're a Cooper?
He puts a wee bit of respect in our name once he learns that Sly is a part of the Cooper family though. This, however, makes him really want to wreck us. What unfolds is a boss fight where timing is crucial. This mad dog has ballistics and he's not afraid to use them. I struggled with him a little at first until I realized he has some cooldown time between shots. So as long as I time dipping in and out of cover correctly, I can make my way around the arena. This combined with my supersonic roll ability allowed me to deflect the required mirrors to burn his guns, leading to his demise. When it's all said and done, we'll get the leg up on him and take the piss out of his operation, receiving the blinding blaster trophy for all of our efforts. He informs us that our next target is in Haiti. We then get a little backstory on Sly's outlaw relative from the old days of the American West, Tennessee Cooper, who mastered the art of walking and even in some cases, sliding on rails. Inspector Fox falls short of just catching Sly, but she does get Mugshot as a consolation. That's 2 times he's got away, Carmelita. The agency is not going to be happy about this. The gang spent a little bit of vacation time in the US. They would eventually start preparing for their next job. This one is filled with a lot of the undead and the voodoo that powers them.
So when are you gonna get to the impossible part?
But I warned you. I've marked the areas you need to hit with holographic markers. Follow them to your objectives.
Thanks.
Don't mention it. It's your funeral.
Things kick off with episode 3, Vicious Voodoo. This sees us heading to the jungles of Haiti to face off with the formidable Miss Ruby. She had the misfortune of being perceived as different from the other kids growing up due to her heavy ties to the spiritual world. This, in turn, had her finding solace in befriending the undead. This eventually turned to disdain as she became hell-bent on using her abilities for evil, making those who outcasted her pay the price. Now out of the public eye, we're bringing the fight directly to her doorstep. Miss Ruby's levels are by far the spookiest. They really lean into the whole creepy voodoo on a swamp vibe. The jungles are dense and littered with fog. I'm pretty sure if I could feel the temperature of video game worlds, this place would have copious amounts of heat, along with a ton of humidity. I have to struggle to keep my head above murky swamp water most of the time. Getting into combat with the expected undead, but even the paranormal. I even have to contend with the lake beast that would blush at the Loch Ness monster. You have the expected mini games to break up the monotony a little bit though. A Ghastly Voyage and Piranha Lake see us using vehicles for different purposes, all of them resulting in keys so we could continue bringing the fight to Miss Ruby. And we can't forget Down Home Cooking, where we play good old whack the cock and avoid the bomb. That's a childhood favorite we played in my old neighborhood.
What do you mean by that?
Bentley got in contact with the paranormal and arranged this. Supposedly the ghost needs the chicken to make a pot of gumbo? Okay. Must have been the ghost comes from this chapter's first level, the Dread Swamp Path. It's a really good intro level at that. I have to fight my way to the end to attempt the challenge for the trophy. When you do get to the end, you're required to take out these more powerful flashlight guards without alarming anyone. It feels weird because the alert boundaries on some of these enemies can be quite large, but I was able to slip right in and get the job done. The next challenge that required our focus would be Sly Be Nimble, Sly Be Quick on the Lair of the Beast. What seems like a normal trek through a normal environment with an odd enemy or two quickly turns into a chase. We have to outrun the pink Alaskan bullworm's cousin. I'm just happy Sly knows how to balance on these narrow platforms perfectly. I could never. I would end up replaying this level to get Sly Be Nimble, Sly Be Quick, which had me navigating this entire level without destroying any of the candles I came across. I'd eventually find myself trying to get these 2 trophies on the stage of Grave Undertaking. One of the enemies on the roster you'll be facing here is a ghost rat who respawns constantly. They're fodder compared to everything else you face, but the challenge with them is that they continuously spawn from special gravestones until they're destroyed. If you're not in your P's and Q's, they can easily gang up on you. Due to them having such large numbers, I used that to my advantage to get 2 back-to-back trophies. I needed to take out at least 5 of these ghost rats in a single attack to get Ectoplasmic Slasher. The other thing I did was take out 2 of these enemies consecutively using a mine ability. I came through in clutch time for Share What's Mine. Slightly pacifist in this accompanying level, Descent into Danger, were way more on the hard side of everything I had to do up until now. You need to have more precision and patience than ever to get through here. The task I needed to do only added more to that requirement. While going through this game, it's more than natural to fight enemies that accidentally spot you when you trip alarms. It's all in the experience. What I needed to do here was opposite of both of those things I mentioned. I could not eliminate any enemies, and I could not set off any alarms. The non-alarm enemies didn't give me grace or mercy. I'm gonna remember that the next time I see you on level replay. I played it as safe as possible. I needed to get this guy away from his post so I can whack this candle to reveal this rail for me to grind on. I eventually found a way to pull it off. Completing the level and getting slightly pacifist is my reward. I played through the rest of this area until I got every key at the end of all the maps and unlocked all the safes located in each one for Cauldron Disaster and Swampy Secrets. Alright, let's use this cauldron to make our way to Ruby's lair. I have to say, I like Miss Ruby's voice. She has a very distinct accent.
I could feel that Cooper vibe a-coming. Most distastefully bad juju.
What appears to be a standard boss fight turns into something a bit more groovy. I don't really have a problem with this as I like making music, so doing rhythm-based QTEs is kinda up my alley. I imagine it was a lot more difficult for people who can't really translate the patterns they see, and there's little to no grace. Most of the time, you'll get killed with 1 hit and have to restart the battle from the beginning, which probably caused frustration for a lot of people, I imagine. I remember having trouble with this fight while I was playing the PS3 port of this game, the one that came out in like the early 2010s. I'm pretty sure this boss fight was bugged as the timing of the button prompts weren't lined up with the actual music playing, which in turn made this way more difficult than it needed to be. The PS5 version seems to solve this issue as it's literally an emulated copy of the PS2 version. After a couple dance moves and cane swipes to the stomach later, we'll show our foe that we have what it takes to get down and dirty to get the Bayou Boogie trophy. Wrapping up this episode in the process. Lying in defeat, Ruby lets us know that having rhythm will not help with the next foe located on our hit list. A quick review of the Thievius Raccoonus portion we acquired tells us about Sly's Egyptian relative, Sly Cooper, who just disregards all the QT stealth abilities and says, yeah, I spent my life turning invisible at will. This is what all thieves aspire to become at some point. This is straight up a superpower. Shortly after, Miss Fox apprehends Ruby but is still hot on Sly's trail, I guess. She's kind of on a losing streak. Like, yeah, she's getting criminals locked up, but let's be real, this organization is kinda dumb in the first place. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a mastermind criminal myself, but I'm sure if I saw my buddies getting taken out one by one, I'd like group up or something, I don't know. After some much needed downtime in the tropics, it was time to take on our next target on the Fiendish 5 roster. This one lived in a very cold place and had, shall I say, explosive tendencies? Fire in the Sky is up next. Our adventure sees us within a mountain range in western China. The person we're pursuing is named Panda King. Since he was a child, he had always been in awe of the fireworks display that's routinely showcased by the noblemen in his area. He loved the art of the fireworks so much that he spent endless hours perfecting his craft with this particular hobby. Rejected and ridiculed by those same noblemen caused him to fall down a path of negativity. This naturally led him to weaponize his fireworks ability, with the position assigned to him as the demolitions expert of the Fiendish 5, a very fitting role. He's furthering his development with his firework techniques, but more importantly, he's expecting our arrival and is prepared for a showdown. Man, look at how he squares up. Something is telling me that this guy developed his hands in the hood or something. He's clearly not afraid to use them. Panda King's levels are pretty layered, metaphorically and literally. You'll be traversing diverse outdoor locations as well as indoors. Some of these structures you navigate in and out of will have a lot of verticality to them. It's common to weave between buildings and heavily interact with the environment. Action cues such as the hooks feel so innate to swing off of that you think they just happen to be there out of coincidence rather than necessity. In addition to that, we have more missions that shy away from the usual formula, like Rapid Fire Assault, which is just another on-rails vehicle mission that has you blasting away enemies to get a key. There's also more missions involving everyone's favorite hippo, the Murray. We aren't supposed to be racing, but this guy folded over some ice cream and is counting on us to help bail him out. Man, this hippo is lucky that I love him. We also have another escort mission where we're blasting enemies to protect his hide. And yes, he's still giving up his ass as a defense mechanism. Let's kick things off with the double trophy acquisition. These two trophies would come from inside the Flaming Temple of Flame. This location is a training ground where anything is fair game. The perimeter of this place is teething with a buttload of guards ready to kick your teeth in. Inside the actual temple, there's monkeys currently in training. These fellas, who go by the nickname Mugus, are super focused on their craft. They were so focused, in fact, that I was able to take them out one by one. Not from the ground, but by doing aerial attacks on every one of them. Getting this session is over in the process. The other trophy I earned came toward the end of this level when I found every single clue bottle to get this safe open. The ability I got from here grants me immunity from fall damage, so now not only can I not drown, but I will never fall off another map for the duration of this playthrough. This makes Sly transcend most, if not all, raccoons off of that alone. Thanks, Super Cooper. Seen and Wanted is a pretty unique trophy, taking place in the Unseen Foe. It's a mission that really capitalizes on our newfound ability to turn invisible. You'll be using this to hide from all sorts of hazards. It's made even better once you unlock the ability that lets you move while in this state. Naturally, you'll do your best not to be seen in this game. Anything less goes against the ethos of how Sly Cooper operates. However, the trophy tied to this level requires you to go against that instinct. You opt to get the attention of every single person you come across and set off every alarm that you find in your path to earn this. Love is in the air for setting the mood, so here we are in Duel by the Dragon. Yet we have another backdrop for a romantic pursuit. Carmelita's back again with a vengeance. We actually try to give her the scoop on the illegal fireworks operation happening here. But come on, Sly, you really think she's gonna believe you? What follows is an intense pursuit around these Chinese temples that should really clean up all the spare fireworks lying around. Luckily, they're pretty helpful in me progressing, so I guess they can stay where they are. Speaking of those fireworks, I shot 2 pink fireworks off at the beginning of the level and got setting the mood for, you guessed it, setting the mood.
Shut up, Ringtail.
What? Don't look at me like that. I'm just reading the script, guys. All that's left now is to get the rest of the keys by completing the rest of the stages and unlocking every safe to get the trophies tied to them. This unlocks Production Blocker and Safe Cracker. Alright, it's time for the episode 4 showdown. PK knows the deal. He tries to pull the morality card on our boy since he's aware of Sly trying to stop his fireworks operation. Sly pretty much says, yeah, I'm a thief, but you're a criminal. And a little bitch at the end of the day. This is a high intensity boss fight. It's impossible to stay still. Whether it's running around the arena and closing the distance, there's something for you to always contend with here. Panda King went to the school of let your ops know your next move because he announced everything he was gonna do, like some kind of Detroit urban survival training instructor.
Booming chop! Palms of thunder! Booming chop!
This, of course, leads to his demise, bringing him and his operation down awards us with the Panda Pummeler trophy. He hypes up our skill with the Cooper cane and then bites the dust. Bentley hits us up to let us know he was able to cross-reference a medal used in a vehicle found here and trace it back to its origin location, Clockwork's volcano hideout in Russia. The page we recover from Panda King talks about Sly's tech-savvy ancestor, Otto Van Cooper. For what he lacked in agility, he more than made up in mechanical know-how. We should be able to use these parts to enhance our team van when we take to fight the Clockwork. That's pretty convenient, Sly. You got that upgrade now, huh? Our wonderful Inspector Fox captures Mr. King while the rest of the gang slips away. At this point, we're like Avon Barksdale in season 1 of The Wire when it comes to our elusiveness. Yeah, we're just living it up in Hong Kong while you're lost going in circles again, Carmelita. Great job. Welcome to the beginning of the end. This is what it all comes down to. We have one more member of the Fiendish 5 to take care of, Clockwork. When reviewing our Thievius Raccoonus notes, we noticed a similar element in all of them. Yeah, this thing has been going at it with Sly's family for what seems like an eternity now. The path to Clockwork's lair is a pretty chaotic one. From the very start, I have to take out enemies and establish defenses. Even from a scale standpoint, it's kind of awe-inspiring. You see where you have to go from a distance and just know you're gonna have your hands full all the way there. First up is an on-rail shooter section where Murray doesn't know what the heck brakes are and just slowly wheels you into danger. Sprinkle some mines and flying birds in between and you have quite the ordeal. The next stage is also centered around our mystery van as we find ourselves in an arena. There's fire slugs between us and the computer parts we need for Bentley to hack the nearby security door.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
Complete light work. What comes up next is pretty interesting as you navigate through a room under heavy surveillance to free Carmelita from captivity. This setup has all the bells and whistles of a 2002 Sly Cooper game security system. Unfortunately, it would all end up being a trap. With Sly and Carmelita out of commission, it's time for the real MVP of this group to step up and show us how things are done around here. This is where Bentley shows off how really clutch he can be. The stage is literally called Bentley Comes Through. The minigame we have here is probably the most adorable thing. Aside from it being the closest this title resembles to being the show Cyber Chase, it takes on a retro style that plays as a twin-stick shooter. It requires a decent amount of skill. There's no hand-holding here whatsoever. We got the power! Like 1, 2, 3, 4! Upon succession, we liberate our trapped friends while they decide to come together for a temporary truce.
Hold on. This truce is only temporary. Once we beat Clockwork, I'm coming after you.
Really?
Well, maybe I'll give you a 10-second head start.
This is all to take out the bigger threat, of course. Now would you look at that, we're finally playing as Carmelita herself. It feels a little off looking at Sly Cooper from this perspective and not being able to control his actions for once. You quickly learn here that he actually can't fight without his cane. It handles all the business for him. So we have to accurately shoot the danger, that's what's on the agenda here. The last section before the big showdown has us scaling broken structures that are sinking into lava. We need to make it to the top of this to put a stop to Clockwork and begin the showdown with him. This course you have to platform through feels like the ultimate test of all the knowledge, skill, and tools you have gained throughout your journey. Let me tell you, it's not forgiving. If you're not using your abilities like fast movement, you're gonna die, and die some more. Once we make it to the end, we'll get the Death Ray Destruction Trophy and transition into the last boss fight against Clockwork himself. It's time we meet with our adversary and exchange pleasantries. Sly learns that Clockwork is immortal and has indeed interacted with every one of his relatives. Today we're gonna downgrade that demigod status.
Revenge is the prime ingredient in the fountain of youth. I've kept myself alive for hundreds of years with a steady diet of jealousy and hate, awaiting the day when I would finally eclipse your family's thieving reputation.
Yikes, the hate is strong with this one. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten an invitation to the annual Player Haters Ball. He would sweep the awards. You're going down, you floating hunk of metal. Clockwork's attacks are pretty easy to dodge at first, but they require more focus and precision. In between dodging, I have to combine my attacks with Inspector Fox's shots to whittle down Clockwork's health by blasting the vulnerable spots when they show. Clockwork came to play, that's for sure. He's the definition of a final boss. You pretty much have to be flawless when you're doing this fight. Unless you have spare charms, you're gonna get taken down with just one hit. There's no continues at any point, so I gotta make every action count. This is all capped off with the final platform section that has us dodging projectiles to get up close and personal to finish this once and for all. Yeah, don't ask me what happened here. I guess Clockwork wanted one last laugh before I finish him off or something. Completing this battle got us the Eternal Enemy Trophy and wraps up the main story. We did it. Each member of the Fiendish 5 has been successfully defeated. And what makes all of this worth it is Bentley and Murray has been down with us since day one. A raccoon can't ask for any better friends. This solidified Sly and made him a living legend among the trash pandas themselves. I'm positive you're invited to their equivalent of a cookout, my boy. Oh, yeah, Carmelita. Guess she finally got us, huh? Well, she's actually being true to her word and gives us that 10-second head start that was promised to us. Only Sly had a different plan.
5, 4, 3, 2. 1.
Oh wow, Sly. What family member you learned that from, huh? Is that something you're starting with your generation? Buttering up them foxes? You know she's gonna mess you up like 10 times as much. Ah, you don't care. Swooning Carmelita got us the "Oh no he didn't" trophy. It wraps up our story. I can't wait to cover the rest of the titles in future videos. However, our work is far from being done here. After this victory lap, we'll have to jump back in and knock out the rage-inducing Master Thief challenges. Before we do that, how about the actual ending? Yeah, what we got before was just a portion of everything. You know, it's really nice to see Sly get the closure he's been desiring since the beginning of this journey. I mean, it sucks that his parents got whacked, but at least he has the entirety of his family's ability cookbook. Before starting the Master Thief challenges, I knocked out a miscellaneous trophy. Knowing is half the battle required me to use the environment scan upgrade I found in the safe while exploring. This gives you insight into your surroundings and even information on your enemies you didn't know you wanted. Did you know that Chow Mei likes techno? Or that Marcel Woodfist is a devoted ecologist? Or that the breed of feral dogs in Mugshot's hideouts are referred to as Slobberus Maximus? Well, now you do!
Well, blow me down.
Getting the scoop on at least 10 enemies will get us our reward. Now, what are the Master Thief challenges? They're trials tied to specific levels. The times you have to beat come from the developers. No pickups other than the hourglass to initiate it. No boosts, no perks, no nothing. You have to use everything in your repertoire to make this work. Roll when you can, slow-mo all your landings, go fast like the Flash, and be better next time because that run was complete ass. I normally dread these kinds of things in games due to their repetitive nature, but this time around I kind of found them to be exciting. Now I only needed to get a minimum of 10 out of the 19 that's required for the trophy. That being said, when I concluded my time with them, I got all of them. I couldn't leave this unfinished. I do it for the love of it. And guess what? When you love a game, the game loves you back. I had actually got the platinum sometime during this run, but toughed out every single one, and it actually felt amazing afterward. Before you go, I think you should know some important details from 2 specific pages in the Thievius Raccoonus. The first page talks about this video soundtrack. It'll soon be available for you to listen on all platforms. I'll make a community post about it on this channel. The other thing is, the adventure doesn't have to end here. If you want, we can link up with these guys and see what's going on with them. Don't worry, I'll wait for you.
Hello, motherfucker.